What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of South Asian Men's Space podcast. And in this episode, I'm going to be diving straight into the golden child shadow. And if you don't know what that is, bear with me because up until early this year, I didn't really understand fully what that meant as well. And over the course of this year, I've been working and diving more deep into what this concept is, what it means for myself. And it's allowed me to open up a can of worms that's allowed me to dive more deeper. And through working on the things that have come out of it, I've been able to build more confidence within myself, better connections with other people, and I'm able to strive forwards towards my goals with more purpose, with more meaning, and with a lot more motivation and excitement. So, the golden child. Let's start with that. For reference, I will be reading a blog that I've written. So if you want to read the blog and understand more about it, make sure you look down below in the description. This will be available both on YouTube and on Spotify. But if you'd rather just listen to me speaking about it and reading the blog, then just carry on listening in. So, the golden child. When I first heard about it, it was my sister who was actually calling me the golden child. And at that time, I didn't understand fully what it was. I assumed she was saying I was special. I assumed she was saying, I was lucky, my life was good, and her life was hard. And naturally, I got defensive. I started to question it. I started to say this was made up. I started to tell her that this doesn't make sense. And I kind of just dismissed it. But over the course of the last few years, I've been delving more into the concept of the inner child, which I do talk about in other videos and in other blogs. So make sure you check that out if you don't know what that is. But essentially, whilst delving into the inner child, I came across the idea and the concept of golden child within myself. And whilst working through my own golden child, I started to realize there was so much ingrained in me, so much that although I was aware of on a conscious level, even though I could talk about it, I couldn't actually feel into what it meant. I couldn't tap into the essence of what it meant to be a golden child and how it was affecting my behaviors. So, to begin with, let's go dive deep into what the golden child is. And as I said, I am reading the blog, so make sure you check that out as well. So, to put simply, the golden child is the one who's seen as perfect, or the favored child. They're often praised for their achievements, their looks, their behavior. They're held to incredibly high standards. And I'm sure many of you listening will be aware, this often happens in the South Asian household. The child is expected to be the role model, always achieving, always obedient, often sacrificing their needs for the sake of the family's pride. And beneath the golden surface, there's often a struggle, the pressure to perform, the fear of failure, the anxiety of never being enough, which in itself can be overwhelming. For me personally, the pressures came from my mum. She didn't realize it, and of course, she may have not intended to inflict it on me, but there was an inherent expectation placed on me. To get the grades, to act a certain way, be the good little boy. And to the outside world, it may have seemed this is who I was. It may have seemed like I had everything held together, especially to grown-ups. But equally, I didn't. And on top of this, when you bring my sister into this, I was able to get away with things my sister couldn't do. And of course, this was affected by both gender and culture and the stereotypes placed on each. But essentially, I was a golden child and I was a boy. So there's a lot more things I could get away with But equally underneath that, a lot more pressure that was placed on me that I wasn't aware of, that was affecting my behavior and actually was sabotaging me. The reality was far from perfect. I was a chronic people pleaser, always trying to make everyone happy and trying to fit in. I didn't know how to manage my emotions, and so I suppressed them. The pressure to succeed was so constant, so massive, that I couldn't help but compare myself to other people. And often, my parents would also compare myself to other people. It felt like I was never good enough, stuck in isolation, and struggling, really struggling to make real connections. My self-esteem was low. I carried a deep sense of shame and guilt, especially when I made mistakes or when things didn't go as I expected them to be. And I feared failing, and I also feared being successful because of the judgment of others. I was stuck in a limbo state, not living up to my potential and repeatedly sabotaging myself. And a lot of these things you probably are familiar with. And these traits and behaviors aren't necessarily the golden child itself, but the shadow of the golden child. The parts hidden, the parts that you don't see. And so, if you're listening into this so far, if you read the blog, take a moment to reflect on, do you resonate with this? Or do you know someone who this applies to? So, the golden child shadow, what is it? It refers to the unconscious, repressed parts of yourself, the parts of you that you don't show other people, but are more or less controlling most of your behaviors. And the consequence of this is that you have a repressed, authentic self. You are suppressing your true desires, your emotions, to portray a perfect image. You are fear of failure or rejection. You have guilt and shame for not meeting the high expectations that you have placed on yourself and that you see in other people. You neglect your emotions and you repress them. And emotions like anger, jealousy, sadness can manifest and essentially take over a lot of what you do. You have a lot of resentment and you depend on validation from other people. It doesn't matter how much you succeed, how many wins you have, you really crave that validation. And for me personally, especially this year, I've noticed that the golden child shadow, or I should say the golden child role, was a projection for my mum's own shadow. Her own insecurities, her own fears, the cultural expectations placed on her, carried on from generations above, all placed on her and passed on to me. And hence why I said I don't blame her, and she probably isn't doing it intentionally or hasn't done it intentionally. But naturally, I notice it within myself, within people around me, family, friends. And for me, I don't want to carry this forward. This judgment, this expectation from other people. I don't want to carry this forward and pass this on to people around me now. And if I have kids, I don't want to pass that on to them as well. So as I said, the impact of the golden shadow is that it affects a lot of my behaviors personally. And some ways it does that is there's a pressure to perform, a constant feeling to, a constant battle even to look a certain way, be a certain way, be portrayed a certain way with other people. There's an identity confusion. There's desires I want to do, but then there's desires I hold back because of what other people may think. There's guilt and there's resentment. And there's also a lack of boundaries. Poor boundaries with other people that I'm now only really consolidating and putting into place in my life more and more each day. And so, the title of this video, podcast, blog that you're reading is called Death to the Golden Child. And I don't mean a literal killing of that golden child. I don't mean that we're going to kill him off, we're going to get rid of him. But it's more about letting go of that golden child shadow that I've been holding on to. It's about stepping forward and reclaiming my life and claiming the person I want to be going forward. It's about reclaiming my identity and my authentic self. It's about death to perfection, death to comparison, and death to people pleasing. Letting go of all of three of these things. When the golden child is released, when you are more aware of him, when you are more conscious of how he has shaped your life, you are then free to step into the man you want to be. Free to have more purpose, more drive, more connection, and more empowerment with how you live your life, how you lead others, and how you take responsibility for your life. So this is my letter to my golden boy shadow. Dear golden boy shadow, thank you for getting me this far in life. You played a significant role in shaping who I am, but enough is enough. I'm tired of this constant need to perform, of trying to people please everyone. I'm exhausted from carrying the weight of shame and guilt, and it's time to step into my power. I know who I want to be, and I'm ready to pursue my goals with purpose. No more leaning into the fear of disappointing others or not being good enough. I choose to lead with love and honor my values. It sounds extreme, and in some ways it is. But it's time for the golden boy shadow to die. This is how I live my authentic life. Thank you, golden child shadow. I release you with gratitude, and I now step into my true self. Thank you for watching. Let me know what you think. Part of me feels like it was a bit cheesy, but equally part of me knows that this is what I wanted to do, what I've done already by writing this out, writing this blog out, writing this letter, and by sharing it with you. I hope it resonates with you. It's something that you may want to work on, something you may even want to just be aware of when you are deciding what kind of life that you want to live. Whether you're a girl or a boy, it doesn't matter. The fact is, these expectations, this shadow, the cultural expectations are often within all of us. And so if you watch this video and you resonate, you've taken something away, comment down below. I would love to hear what you think of it. Thank you for watching, and if this video has resonated with you, if you've taken anything away from this and you identify with the things I've said, If you're tired of your own shadows stopping you from pursuing the life that you want, if you feel stuck, you've tried multiple things and you don't know what to do next, and you keep getting the same results that you don't want over and over again, and all you really want to do is build true connection, then drop me a message. I do one-to-one coaching, and let me help you on this journey. And if you don't want to do coaching, that's also fine. Drop me a message if you have any questions, even if it's to know where to go next, even if it's about what book you could read, what event you could go to learn more. Let me know. Let's connect. Even if it's a 10-minute conversation, I'm here to help. This is what I love to do. This is what I love to delve more deep into. And for 2025, I'm just going to delve more and more into this. So if you want any sort of help, even if it's the book, even if it's who you can contact to get more information from, let me know, because I'm here to help you. My name's been Jag, and if you've liked this video, as I said, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.